Okay. So next concept which we are studying is salt hydrolysis, hydrolysis of salt. So first of all, what is meant by salt? So when a chemical reaction happens between acid and a base, salt is formed. Are you able to understand? And how many types of salts are possible? Here we will write down. So types of salts. Okay. So salt may be formed because of strong acid plus strong base. Okay, ma? When a strong acid reacts with strong base, for example, if I take HCl is a strong acid, no ma? NaOH is a strong base. When they react with each other, then what is the kind of salt which is formed? NaCl. Okay, so this is one kind of salt. Salt which is formed of strong acid and strong base. Another type of salt which can be formed is weak acid plus strong base. This salt is also possible, no? Weak acid, I can write ammonium hydroxide NH4OH. And strong, this is strong weak acid, let us take CH3COOH. And a strong base, I can take NaOH. Clear? So when these react with each other, then what is the type of salt which is formed? Then CH3COONA plus H2, water is always formed. Are you able to understand? And one more type of salt which can be formed is strong acid plus weak base. Strong acid, I can take HCl. Are you able to understand? And weak base, ammonium hydroxide, NH4OH. Okay. Then what can be the type of salt formed here? This is NH4Cl, and water is always formed as a byproduct. Clear, no? So one more salt which can be formed is weak acid plus weak base. Okay, ma? So weak acid plus weak base also can they react with each other. Example of weak acid, CH3COOH I can take. And example of weak base, ammonium hydroxide, NH4OH, I can take both of them. Okay. Then what is the salt which can be formed? Salt formed is CH3COONH4. This is a type of salt which can be formed. Are you able to understand? So these are the different types of salts which can be formed because of reactions of, depending on the acidic and basic strengths of acids and bases. Are you able to understand? So next we define what is meant by hydrolysis. Okay. So what is meant by hydrolysis? Types of salts we have studied now. Now we are studying about hydrolysis. So what is meant by hydrolysis? The splitting of H and OH bond in a chemical reaction. Okay, ma? This is called as hydrolysis. Okay. So what is meant by hydrolysis, ma? When the bond between H and OH, and the bond between H and OH is present where? It is present in water only. Are you able to understand, ma? So when the bond between H and OH, when they split, then that process itself is called as hydrolysis, or you can call it as hydrolysis of water. Okay. Now here we are supposed to write a very, very important concept about hydrolysis, ma. So the most important concept which we have to write about hydrolysis is that, okay. So this is a very important concept which you should remember, ma. Without this concept we cannot solve the problems. Okay. Concept is that only conjugate ions of weak acid and weak base participate in hydrolysis. Are you able to understand, ma? So conjugate ions of which acid and which base they take place in hydrolysis? Only weak acid and weak base. Only these conjugate ions only they participate in hydrolysis. It means that the conjugate ions of a strong acid and strong base that doesn't take place in hydrolysis. Okay. Let us write some examples. What is meant by conjugate ions already we have studied, no, ma? For example, if you take NaOH, what is meant by NaOH, ma? Strong acid or strong base? This is a very strong base. So if this NaOH, if it loses this hydroxide ion, OH minus ion, then what it forms? Then it forms Na plus, no? Then it forms Na plus. And what is this Na plus? This is the conjugate ion of this strong acid. Are you able to understand? What is Na plus called? Na plus is called as conjugate ion of NaOH. Are you able to understand? Now the question is, this Na plus, will it take place in hydrolysis or not? ఇది హైడ్రాలసిస్లో పార్టిసిపేట్ చేస్తుందా చెయ్యదా? నో. వై? వాట్ వీ హ్యావ్ రిటర్న్? ఓన్లీ కాంజుగేట్ అయాన్స్ ఆఫ్ వీక్ యాసిడ్ అండ్ weak base, only they will participate in hydrolysis, in splitting the water into H plus and OH minus. Are you able to understand? So conjugate ions of strong acid and strong base, they never take place in hydrolysis. For example, if I write one more concept, for example, Cl minus, will it take place in hydrolysis or not? ఇది హైడ్రాలసిస్లో పార్టిసిపేట్ చేస్తుందా చెయ్యదా? చేస్తుంది. How can you say? So this also doesn't participate in hydrolysis. What is the reason? Because this is the conjugate ion of HCl, no? Cl minus is the conjugate ion of HCl, and HCl is a strong acid or weak acid? It is a very strong acid. So Cl minus also doesn't take place in hydrolysis. Okay, ma? So NH4 plus, will it take place in hydrolysis or not? Chapandi. NH4 plus, it is a conjugate ion of NH4OH. Okay, ma? Ammonium hydroxide, which is a very weak base. Very weak base, this one. So definitely NH4 plus, which is the conjugate ion of weak base, this definitely takes place in hydrolysis. It participates in hydrolysis. Are you able to understand? If I take one more example, CH3COO minus, does it participate in hydrolysis or not? It participates. Why? Because this is a conjugate ion of which acid, ma? CH3COOH, which is a weak acid. So definitely this one participates in hydrolysis. Are you able to understand? So this identification whether which conjugate ion it participates in hydrolysis or not, this is very important. దీనిపైన ఐడియా లేకపోతే మన ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఏం చేయలేము, చూస్తూ ఉంటాం అంతే, అర్థం కాదు. Are you able to understand? That's it. Make a note up to here. Okay, ma? So we are supposed to by heart this table, ma, which is very, very important, and based on this table you may get one question, 50-50 probability. Just based on this question you may get one question in the NEET examination. Okay, mains ante cheppalem raavochu raakapochu 25 questionle kada. NEET probability we can say very easily. So see, ma, so strong acid, strong base, what is meant by KH? KH is called as constant of hydrolysis. Okay, ma? KH is called what? Constant of hydrolysis. It is also just like equilibrium constant. Previously we studied equilibrium constant. Equilibrium constant depends on how many factors? Temperature. Mainly temperature and stoichiometric coefficients. That's it, no? So here also this KH also, it depends only on temperature itself. Okay? So constant of hydrolysis, this is called as degree of hydrolysis. H is called as degree of hydrolysis. What is meant by the degree of hydrolysis? It is just like, where can I write? I will write here only. Just like alpha. Okay, ma? What is meant by alpha? Expiry date? Expire, na? So alpha is called degree of dissociation, no? So just like H is called degree of hydrolysis. Okay, ma? And pH value, no? We will find out the nature of this salt. Okay. So first one, we have to, there are 4 kinds of salts, no, ma? Which is the first kind of salt? Strong acid plus strong base. So can you say what can be the KH value of strong acid and strong base? That is the salt which is formed of strong acid and strong base. Okay, ma? So give an example of a salt formed, ma? NaCl. This is a salt which is formed of strong acid and strong base. So what will be its KH value? There will not be any KH value. Why? Why there is no KH value for the salt of NaCl? Because they never get hydrolyzed. That's what we have been studying, no? So these conjugate ions, they are made up of what? Na plus is the conjugate ion of strong base. Cl minus is the conjugate ion of strong acid. They never take place in hydrolysis. They never participate in hydrolysis. So when they doesn't participate in hydrolysis, there is no concept of KH. So there is no concept of H also. pH value is 7 and it is neutral salt. What kind of salt, ma? Neutral salt. pH value will be 7, no, for neutral salt. Clear, no? So this is one point which you should remember. Similarly, the salt which is formed of weak acid plus a strong base. Salt which is formed of weak acid and strong base. Okay, so its KH value I can write KH is equals to KW divided by Ka. What is meant by Kw? Already we have studied, no, 10 power minus 14 is called as Kw value. Okay, ma? And what is Ka? Ka is called as a dissociation constant of acid. Ka is called what? Dissociation constant of acid. Because here, which is the weaker one? Weaker one is acid, no, ma? Weaker one is what? Acid here. So only the conjugate ion of acid, weaker acid, will participate in hydrolysis. So therefore, in the denominator, I have to write Kw divided by Ka. Okay. Next, H value. What is the formula of H value? H value is equals to square root of Kw square root of Kh divided by C. This is the formula of H. Are you able to understand, ma? Kh divided by C. Okay. And what is the Kh value? So therefore, if I do the calculation, H is equals to square root of, instead of Kh, what I can write, ma? I can write a Kw divided by Ka multiplied by C. This is the value. Understood, no? These formulae you are just supposed to by heart, that's it. Okay. Next, what is its pH value of the salt which is formed of weak acid plus a strong base? pH value is 7 plus half pKa plus half log C. This is the formula. So there is a derivation for this formula, ma. We are not going for derivations, just by heart this formula. Are you able to understand? So 7 plus half of pKa plus half log C, where C is the concentration. Are you able to understand? And what kind of salt it will be, ma? Acidic salt, basic salt, neutral salt? Basic salt. Why it is a basic salt? Because it is made up of very strong base, no? So therefore the type of the salt also will be basic. Okay. Next, third one, strong acid plus weak base. Strong acid plus weak base. So therefore KH value, can you say what can I write? Kw by Kb, that's it. Kw divided by Kb. The dissociation constant of a base. Okay, why? Because here which one is weaker? Base is weaker. Okay. Formula of H again remains same. What is the formula of H here? H is equals to square root of Kh divided by C. Understood, ma? So therefore, don't be confused among these formulas, ma. Okay. So substitute Kh value here is square root of Kw divided by Kb multiplied by C. Okay. And what is its pH value? pH value is 7 minus 1 by 2 pKb minus 1 by 2 log C. This is the formula. And what kind of salt it will be? It will be definitely acidic salt. Are you able to understand? Just you are supposed to by heart this table, ma. There are derivations for every one of them. We are not going for derivations. Formulas are important. Clear? Similarly, we will study about the fourth type of salt. What is the fourth type of salt? Salt which is made up of weak acid plus weak base. Okay, ma? So here, what is the formula for KH? KH is equals to Kw divided by Ka multiplied by Kb. Both of them I have to include. Why I am including Ka and Kb, both of them? Because both are weak, no? Acid is also weak, base is also weak. So therefore H value here there is a different formula for H value, ma. H is equals to just root Kh, that's it. Previously we have written Kh divided by C, no? Here you will not get any C. Are you able to understand? So therefore H value will be how much? H value will be square root of Kw divided by Ka multiplied by Kb, that's it. Okay. And what is its pH value? pH value is equals to 7 plus 1 by 2 pKa minus 1 by 2 pKb. And nature of the salt we will discuss later. Okay. First make a note up to here. Now see, ma. So we have calculated up to here, no? 7 plus half pKa minus half pKb. Now the question is, what is the nature of this salt, ma? See, ma, if it is a strong base, I can say salt is basic in nature. Strong acid, I can say salt is acidic in nature. But both of them here are weak, no? Both of them, they are weak. So here, we have to study some conditions, ma, whether this salt will be acidic or basic. So write down case number 1. So, case number 1. Case number 1 is, if pH value is greater than 7. Okay, ma? If pH value is greater than 7. If pH value is greater than 7, then definitely this is what kind of salt? Basic salt. So if pH value should be greater than 7, this value should be positive, no? Half pKa minus half pKb should be positive. And it is positive in which condition? Only when half pKa is greater than half pKb. It means pKa should be greater than pKb. Then only pH value will be greater than 7. Are you able to understand? Clear? So therefore, what is the condition? Condition is pKa must be greater than pKb. Then only the pH value will be greater than 7. Of which salt? The salt which is formed of weak acid plus weak base. Are you able to understand? Similarly, this is case number 1. Case number 2, pH value if it is less than 7. pH value if it is less than 7, definitely pKa should be less than pKb. That's all. So pKa should be less than pKb. In this condition, definitely the salt will be acidic salt because pH value is less than 7. Clear now? And what is one more case? One more case is pH can be equal to 7 also, no? Which is called as a neutral salt. So if pH is less than 7, it means that this value should be equal to 0, no? This total equation should be equal to 7. It means half pKa minus half pKb should be 0. And they will become 0 only when they are equal. So pKa will be equal to pKb. In this condition only, we will have these 3 cases. Are you able to understand, ma? So right now. So this table you are supposed to by heart and remember, ma. And before going to the final examination, you have to once again by heart all these formulae. Clear? Okay, ma. So these are the list of strong acids and strong bases, ma, which you are supposed to remember. Okay. So HCl, HBr, Hi, HNO3, HClO4, H2SO4. And in the case of bases, NaOH, BaOH taken twice, KOH, LiOH and CaOH taken twice. Okay, ma? So in the next question, we will get one concept based on LiOH and BaOH taken twice, ma. So what is the pH value of LiOH? It is 10. And pH value of BaOH taken twice is 11.27. It means out of these two, which one is a strong base, ma? Strong base, Chapandi. BaOH taken twice is the strong base because its pH value is larger when compared to LiOH. Clear? Right now. Okay, Sima. See this question. So which of the following salts will give highest pH in water? Okay, ma? That is, if we put these salts in water, which one will give highest pH? Okay. So which one will give highest pH, ma? Which is a more basic salt that will give more pH. That's all, no? If pH value is greater, it means that it is more basic in nature. So the more basic the salt is, the more pH value it will give in water. That's all. So therefore, what is the first point we have to write? The more basic the salt is, the highest pH it gives in water. It gives in water. That's all. No? Now let us study about each of them. For example, if you take a KCl. Okay. So KCl is the salt of what? It is the salt of KOH and HCl. No, KCl is the salt of KOH and HCl. What about KOH? Strong base. HCl, strong acid. Okay. So first of all, this KCl, it doesn't take place in hydrolysis. Asal hydrolysis lone they participate cheyadu. So therefore, this cannot be my right answer because it is a salt of strong acid and strong base. Are you able to understand? So likewise, you have to check all the 4 options, and that is my answer. So NaCl. NaCl is the salt of Chapandi. NaOH and HCl. Strong acid and strong base. Clear, nama? So this also doesn't take place in hydrolysis. It doesn't participate in hydrolysis, first point. Then you take Na2CO3. Okay, ma? So this is a salt of NaOH and H2CO3. Okay? NaOH and H2CO3. Next, if you studied CuSO4. CuSO4 is the salt of copper hydroxide. CuOH taken twice and H2SO4. Are you able to understand? Ma? Now these two are not correct. Now what about these two? What about these two? NaOH, strong base, no? H2CO3, weak acid. Already I said, wherever you find C, it means that acid is an organic acid. And organic acids are always weaker. So therefore, this is a weak base. Understood, no? CuOH taken twice, strong base or weak base? CuOH taken twice on the list lo. So therefore, it is a weak base. And this is a strong acid. Okay. Now out of them, can you say what is my answer? My answer is that one where there is a strong base. Okay, this is a weak base number, this is a strong base. So this will give highest pH in water. That's all. Are you able to understand? Problems cheyalem. Okay, so Sima. So equimolar solutions of following substances were prepared separately. Which of these will record highest pH? So again he is asking question on basic salt only. Are you able to understand? Which has highest pH value? So therefore BaCl2, AlCl3, LiCl and BaCl2. Okay ma? So let us see, this is made up of BaOH taken twice and HCl. That's all. No? So BaCl2 strong acid, HCl is a strong base. Are you able to understand ma? And AlCl3. What about AlCl3? It is AlOH taken thrice plus HCl. Are you able to understand ma? And this is what ma? This is strong base and this is a strong acid. Okay. What about AlCl3? This is amphoteric in nature ma. Already while studying periodic classification, I think I have explained this one. AlOH3 is amphoteric in nature. What is meant by amphoteric in nature? It sometimes behaves like an acid, sometimes it behaves like a base. Are you able to understand? LiCl. LiCl is made up of LiOH and HCl. Are you able to understand? BaCl2. It is a salt of BeOH taken twice and HCl. Are you able to understand? Ma? Now if you look here, first of all let us analyze BeOH taken twice and HCl. BeOH taken twice. Did we list this one under strong base ma? Strong base లలో దీని పేరు ఉందా? లేదు. So therefore it is a weak base. This one strong acid. Okay. So what is the type of salt? Acidic salt, basic salt or neutral salt? Acidic salt. Are you able to understand? This is what kind of salt? This is an acidic salt. Now come to LiOH and HCl. LiOH strong base, HCl strong acid. So this is what kind of salt? HCl is very strong when compared to LiOH. Are you able to understand? So this is also, or just let us consider this is neutral because strong acid and strong base, well let us consider it is neutral. Okay. And AlOH taken thrice and HCl, this is a weak base. This behaves like a weak base because it is amphoteric in nature. And what about HCl? HCl is a strong acid. So what kind of salt? Again it is acidic salt because it is made up of strong acid. Okay ma? Now coming to strong base and strong acid. This is also neutral. Are you able to understand? So I got two neutral salts and two acidic salts. Now can you say which one will give highest pH? Neutral salts, acidic salts, they cannot give pH greater than 7, no? Acidic salts, they will have pH less than 7. Definitely greater than 7 is not possible. Now what about neutral? Its pH value may be 7, its pH value also may be 7. Now in comparison to these two, which one is slightly greater than 7? So definitely BaOH taken twice is slightly, BaCl2 is slightly greater than 7. Why? Because BaOH taken twice has highest pH when compared to LiOH. Already we have written values also for this one, Nama. So pH value of BaOH taken twice is how much? It is 11.27. And for LiOH it is only 10 only. So which one is more basic salt? This one is a more basic salt. So this will be my answer. Are you able to understand? That's it. Okay. So see here, so the ionization constant of ammonium hydroxide is given. Okay. Then what is the hydrolysis constant of ammonium chloride? That is what he is asking. Okay. So what is meant by hydrolysis constant? KH nama. Okay. So KH is equals to KW divided by, and ammonium chloride, is it an acid or a base ma? Ammonium chloride, NH4OH. Acid. NH4OH is a base ma. So divided by Kb. Clear no? That is the formula. Already we discussed this formula in the table, no? So therefore KH is equals to KW 10 power minus 14, no? KB value is already given. What is that? 1.77 into 10 power minus 5. So just to do this calculation, that is my required answer, and this should be the answer which you will get. Okay? That's it.